Welcome back to the Integrative Counselor, where we integrate mind, body, and beyond. We'll be exploring the art of science and holistic wellness, and I am your host, Julie, an integrative counselor passionate about helping you cultivate a life that feels aligned, intentional, and fulfilling for you. Throughout the podcast, we dive into meaningful conversations about mental health, personal growth, and the powerful connection between the mind, body, and spirit. Before we begin, just a reminder, the resources shared in this podcast are for educational and self-help purposes only. They are not a substitute for professional therapy, counseling, or medical advice. Everyone's journey is absolutely unique, so explore what feels supportive and aligned for you. And if you're experiencing distress, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional in your area. You are not alone, and help is available. So last week we explored how the unknown can leave us feeling unanchored, anxious, and disconnected. And beneath that uncertainty, there's often an even deeper fear, one that quietly asks us, am I enough? What if I get it wrong? What if I'm not who I'm supposed to be? So this week we're meeting those questions head on. Because becoming isn't about striving to meet the expectations of others or proving your worth. It's about gently unlearning who you thought you had to be and coming home to who you already are. So in this episode, we'll explore the pressure to perform, worthiness in a world that glorifies perfection, how internalized roles and stories keep us disconnected from our truth. We'll look at somatic and reflective tools to reconnect with your authentic self and why self-worth is not earned, it's remembered. This is not about self-improvement. This is about self-remembrance. You don't have to earn your place in this world by doing more, being better, or getting it all right. Because the truth is you already belong here and you already matter. Even when you're uncertain, even when you're in process. So if you've ever felt like you're performing a version of yourself just to be accepted, if you're tired of shrinking, striving, or second-guessing your voice, this episode is for you. Let this be your invitation to breathe deeper, to soften the shoulds, and to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. So let's take a moment to tune into our mind, our body, and our heart before we begin. Let's check in with ourselves fully, gently, and without judgment. So beginning with our body, bringing awareness to our physical presence. Perhaps noticing what sensations are here right now. Maybe recognizing where you feel tension, softness, warmth, or even stillness. Just noticing. You don't need to fix or change anything. Just simply letting yourself breathe and gently move through whatever is present. And checking in with our mind now. What kind of thoughts are passing through? Are they racing, quiet, scattered, or focused? Perhaps you might even say to yourself, I'm noticing that I'm thinking, and finish the sentence, giving yourself permission to witness your thoughts without identifying and becoming them. And finally, tuning in with your heart. What emotions are here with you right now? It might be clear to you, or perhaps it might feel like a blend of feelings or even numbness. Taking a moment to ask yourself gently, what does this part of me need today? Perhaps it might be rest, connection, movement, comfort, or just simply to be heard. And taking a deep grounding breath in and a soft releasing breath out. Saying to yourself, I am here with myself exactly as I am, and that is enough. Now let's begin. So we live in a culture that often tells us, sometimes subtly, sometimes loudly, that our worth is tied to how much we do, how well we perform, and how perfectly we show up. We learn early on that being good means being productive, put together, agreeable, or successful. That being lovable means being easy to be around. That being safe means not rocking the boat. And so we start performing confidence even when we're unsure, performing calm even when we're overwhelmed, performing competence even when we're exhausted. This performance isn't fake, it's protective. It's how we've learned to navigate a world that often rewards the mask more than the truth. But here's the thing, you can only perform for so long before you start to feel disconnected from your own life, from your own voice, and from your own body. And underneath that performance, there's often a deep fear that if we stop trying so hard, if we rested even for a moment, or if we slowed down, perhaps we say no and spoke up, or let ourselves be seen without the polish, that we'd somehow become less worthy. But you are not here to earn your right to exist. Your worth was never meant to be conditional. You don't have to be perfect to be valuable. And you don't have to prove your goodness to deserve rest. And most of all, you don't have to be everything for everyone to belong. When we begin to notice the ways that we perform worthiness, we create space to choose something different, something softer, something more honest and more real. And that's what this episode is about. It's about reclaiming the version of you that existed before all the performance. Not by pushing harder, but by pausing long enough to remember that you are already enough exactly as you are. So how do internalized roles and these masks and stories keep us disconnected from our truth and our authentic self? So if the pressure to perform is the outer layer of our self-protection, then those internalized roles are what lie underneath. The quiet, deeply ingrained beliefs about who we're supposed to be in order to stay safe, loved, or accepted. We don't create these roles intentionally. We inherit them. These are from family systems, from culture, society, religion, or past experiences. Maybe you became the responsible one because being needed felt safer than being vulnerable. Maybe you learned to be the fixer, the achiever, or the peacemaker, because those roles were what kept you connected to others or protected you from the rejection. These roles often start as survival strategies, and they help us navigate complex dynamics in our childhood or in certain environments. But as adults, they can become cages, often keeping us stuck in old patterns, disconnected from who we truly are underneath. From a psychological lens, this is known as schema development. It's a formation of deep cognitive and emotional patterns that guide how we see ourselves, others, and the world. These schemas are not just thoughts, they're felt beliefs, they're internalized truths that often form in childhood through our early relationships and experiences. According to schema therapy developed by psychologist Dr. Jeffrey Young, so these core schemas are developed when basic emotional needs aren't consistently met. Needs like safety, love, acceptance, autonomy, or emotional validation. And when these needs go unmet, we have to adapt. And in that adaptation, we form beliefs about ourselves and what we must do to be safe or be loved. Some examples of these deeply held schemas might look like, I must please others to be safe. I have to be perfect to be accepted. If I express emotion, then I'll be rejected. My needs don't matter. I'll be abandoned if I'm not useful. These beliefs can live beneath the surface for years, quietly shaping the roles that we play, the relationships that we choose, and the ways that we respond to stress or uncertainty. And when we find ourselves repeatedly performing, overfunctioning, or disconnecting from our own truth, it's often because one of these schemas has been activated. What's important to know and to understand is that these schemas are not faults. They are not flaws. They are survival strategies, protective blueprints that once helped us make sense of the world at the time, when we didn't have the tools, support, or safety to do anything different for ourselves. But what once protected us can become the very thing that limits us. The good news, though, schemas can be healed. Thanks to neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire, we can gently begin to notice and question and replace these patterns with more supportive beliefs that support us in this present time. And through therapeutic work, journaling, mindfulness, and especially somatic practices, we can begin to experience ourselves not as broken or lacking or flawed, but as whole, worthy, and free to choose differently. So when we talk about becoming who you truly are, part of that work is noticing whose story you've been living and asking yourself, is this belief really mine, or was it something I learned to survive? Because healing begins not with fixing, but with remembering. Because the truth is, you were never too much. You were never not enough. And you were always worthy, before the roles, before the stories, and before you did what you needed to do to survive. So we chatted a bit about schemas, but another theory that's very similar is called the attachment theory. And this helps us understand how early relationships shape our nervous system, our sense of self, and how we relate to others. The theory was first introduced by John Bowlby, and then it was later expanded by Mary Ainsworth. And the series suggests that the way our caregivers, so our parents or grandparents or whoever helped raise us, the way that they responded to our emotional needs in our childhood, that was a foundation that was formed for us, and that built on how we connected with others, how we trusted others and ourselves, and how we felt safe in adulthood. So let's take a brief look at each style and the internalized message that they often carry with them. The first one is secure attachment. So this often develops in environments where love and support are reliable and unconditional. An internal message might look like, I am safe to be myself in this environment. I can rely on others and be relied upon. And when we move into adulthood, that might look like secure individuals tend to form balanced relationships, they manage emotions well, and they often communicate their needs openly. Next, we have anxious, preoccupied attachment. So that often develops when care and attention are very inconsistent. So sometimes loving, other times withdrawn. The internal messages might look like, I must work hard to be loved. If I'm not perfect, I'll be left behind. And when we move into adulthood, that can often show up as people-pleasing, fear of rejection, and heightened emotional sensitivity in relationships. Next is avoidant dismissive attachment. So this often forms when caregivers were emotionally distant or discourage vulnerability. The internal messages attached to this might look like, my needs are too much. I'll be safer if I stay self-reliant. And as we move into adulthood, that tends to appear as an emotional detachment, discomfort with closeness, or an overemphasis on independence. And finally, we move into disorganized, fearful, avoidant attachment. This often emerges in environments marked by chaos, trauma, or abuse, where love and fear were often intertwined. Internal messages might look like, I want connection, but closeness feels too dangerous. So as we move into adulthood, this can lead to a push and pull dynamic, chronic self-sabotage, and nervous system dysregulation. So these patterns don't just shape how we relate to others. They shape how we relate to ourselves. They influence our internal narratives and the roles we believe that we have to play. It could look like, I always have to be strong. If I mess up, I'll be rejected. It's my job to keep everyone else okay. And my needs are just too much for everyone else. But these aren't truths. These are survival stories. They're protective imprints we created to feel safe accepted, or needed in those early environments that didn't consistently make room for our whole selves. And the hopeful news, these patterns aren't permanent. Just as schemas aren't permanent, with support and nervous system safety, we can move towards what's known as earned secure attachment, a state where you feel safe expressing your needs, you feel worthy of love without proving yourself, and you feel grounded in relationships that nourish you. As adults, healing can often look like naming and honoring our needs without shame, letting others support us without guilt, creating boundaries that reflect our self-worth, practicing co-regulation and embodied safety, and letting go of the roles that no longer serve us. It's also about tending to the younger parts of ourselves, reminding them that it's safe now, that love doesn't have to be earned through self-abandonment, because attachment wounds are formed in relationships, and they're also healed in relationships with others, with your body, and with yourself. And so you're invited to root into something truer for yourself. You're already lovable even when you're not holding it all together. You're already worthy of rest, joy, and care, even when you're not performing for others. And you don't have to be who you had to be to survive anymore. You're allowed to become who you actually are now in the present moment, and to do so gently, with one breath, one boundary, and one truth at a time. So what happens once we name the roles we've been carrying? Once we've begun to see those patterns and those stories, the ones that kept us safe, but also kept us small. The next step is not about fixing ourselves. It's about returning home, returning to the body, returning to the breath, and returning to the parts of us that learn to hide, to please, to perfect, just to feel safe or loved. Because healing doesn't just happen through insight. It happens through integration, and the integration begins in the body. We've spent so many years on high alert, navigating uncertain relationships, suppressing our emotions, or holding everything together. Our nervous systems can't forget what safety feels like. We may know we're not in danger anymore, but our bodies haven't quite caught up. So that's why bottom-up healing matters. It's about gently working from the inside out, from sensation to safety, from breath to belonging. It's about teaching the body it doesn't have to brace anymore, that it can soften, and that it's safe enough to exhale. So in the next section, we're going to explore somatic and reflective tools, simple, compassionate practices that help you reconnect with your authentic self, not just intellectually, but physically, emotionally, and energetically. Because your body holds a memory of who you had to be, and it also holds a pathway back to who you really are. Once we start recognizing the roles we've been playing, the question becomes, how do I return to myself, beneath the patterns, beyond the performance? These somatic practices can help us do just that. They remind us that healing doesn't happen in the mind, it happens through the body. When we've spent years in states of chronic stress, high alert, emotional suppression, the nervous system can lose its ability to accurately sense safety, and we become stuck in these hypervigilance or collapse states, not because we're broken, but because we've done this to adapt and to survive to our environments. So here are a few gentle, somatic, and reflective tools to support your return to self. The first practice is called orienting to safety. The simple yet powerful practice invites your nervous system to recognize that you are not in danger right now, that in this very moment you are safe enough to soften. So you begin by starting to let your eyes slowly scan the space around you, moving your head gently from side to side, as if you're exploring the room with simple curiosity, noticing textures, colors, and shapes. You're not looking for anything. You're just letting your gaze rest slightly on your surroundings. So next, name 3 things that you can feel safe, comforting, or familiar. This could be a soft blanket, a framed photo, a plant, or candle, whatever might feel safe and comforting to you. And as you name each one, pause and take a breath afterwards. Let your body register these cues of safety. Notice what happens inside as you recognize familiar things, letting yourself know, I know this, I am okay, I am safe here. You might even try silently saying to yourself, this is now, that was then, and I can take in the safety through all my senses. This practice activates the ventral vagal pathway. This is a part of the parasympathetic system. It's associated with connection, presence, and regulation. As described in the polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges, it helps your body shift from a state of threat or bracing into one of openness and groundedness. When we've been stuck in stress or hypervigilance, the world can feel like a threat, even when you're safe. Orienting gives your body a chance to update that story in real time by using your senses as messengers of safety. Let this be a daily ritual for you, a moment to come back to your body, your breath, and the now. The next somatic practice is breath and gentle touch. This practice invites you to create a moment of safety and connection, not through words or doing, but through presence. It offers a quiet but powerful way to soothe your nervous system and remind yourself that I am here, I am safe, I am with me. By placing one hand over your heart and the other gently on your belly, taking a moment to feel the warmth of your own touch, letting your hands be steady and kind, like a gesture of care from you to you. And then focusing on an inhalation through your nose, and as you exhale, a soft release of the breath through your mouth with a gentle ah. Let your exhale be unforced, like a sigh of relief. And then you repeat this breath 2 to 3 more times, letting your shoulders soften and your belly rise and fall beneath the gentle touch of your hand. The simple combination of breath and self-touch offers your body 2 things it often longs for: a rhythm to follow through your breath and a reminder that comfort is available through your own touch. This exercise again engages that parasympathetic nervous system and focuses on the ventral vagal branch, which we chatted about through the last exercise. This again supports feelings of connection, rest, and inner calm. This exercise also does is bypasses the thinking mind. It offers regulation through nonverbal cues that the body can immediately receive and respond to. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to fix anything. You just get to be with yourself gently, attentively, and kindly. So this matters because in moments of overwhelm, your body may brace, disconnect, or tighten as a protective response. This practice sends the opposite signal, one of softening, one of grounding, and one of support. So when you place your hands on your own body with intention, you're not just soothing yourself, you're also reclaiming self-trust through touch. You can try this anytime you feel anxious, unseen, or disconnected, and let your breath become the bridge back to yourself. Next, we move into a somatic practice called the pendulation practice. Your nervous system was never meant to stay in one state forever. It's designed to move between activation and rest, between intensity and calm, between contraction and expansion. But when we experience chronic stress, trauma, or prolonged emotional overwhelm, that natural rhythm can become disrupted, and we might get stuck in a heightened state of tension or collapse, unsure of how to return to balance. So the pendulation is a gentle somatic practice that helps restore this rhythm. It invites you to build awareness of what's happening in your body and then to shift with care between sensations of discomfort and sensations of ease. This movement strengthens your window of tolerance, your nervous system's ability to stay regulated through a wider range of experiences without shutting down or becoming overwhelmed. So we're going to try this practice now. Make sure you're in a safe space, without disruptions, and let's give this a try. Hello and welcome. My name is Julie, the Integrative Counselor. I will be leading you in a pendulation practice for the nervous system regulation. This practice invites you to gently shift your attention between sensations of discomfort and ease in your body, helping you expand your window of tolerance and reconnect you to a felt sense of safety. Let's begin. So you can be seated or lying down. Allow your hands to rest softly and your feet to be supported and your breath to settle naturally. If it feels safe for you, I invite you to gently close your eyes or simply soften your gaze and begin to turn your attention inward. So notice what feels activated, bringing your awareness to your body. Start by naming something that perhaps feels uncomfortable for you. This might be a tightness in your jaw, a fluttering in your chest, a numbness or tingling in your arms or legs, or maybe a buzzy, agitated energy. Whatever it is, notice it gently and without trying to change or judge it, simply say, I notice this. And then ask yourself, where do I feel this tension or discomfort or activation? And whatever you find, notice it and name it gently in your mind. So maybe it looks like, I feel pressure right now in my jaw. I feel numbness in my left foot. Whatever that is for you. You don't have to stay here long, just enough to acknowledge it, breathe into it for a few moments with curiosity and care. Now let's find a place in your body that feels neutral, stable, or soothing. So perhaps that's a warmth of your hands resting in your lap, the steadiness and support of the floor beneath your feet, the sensation of the breath in your belly, or the soft fabric of your shirt against your skin. Bring your full attention here now. Let yourself rest in this sensation. Take 2 to 3 slow breaths as you gently anchor into this place of comfort and ease. And notice, how does this feel different than the discomfort? What do I experience when I shift my awareness to rest here? Let yourself settle here and breathe into this comfort, allowing your nervous system to take in this signal. This is safe. This is steady. Now slowly bring your attention back to the area of discomfort, just briefly, noticing it again, acknowledging gently what is there. Then return once more to the soothing or neutral place of comfort, feeling your body soften, feeling the steadiness or safety there in that place. Breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. This gentle back and forth is called the pendulation, It teaches your nervous system that it is safe to move between activation and ease, and that you can come back to the balance. Resting your awareness in the place of comfort, letting your body know, I am here, I am safe, and I can return to this place whenever I need to. Take one more slow breath in and a soft exhale out. And when you feel ready, gently opening your eyes and bringing your awareness back to the room and back to the space where you began. Welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that pendulation practice, and you can come back to that anytime you need to. So the next somatic practice we're going to be talking about is called movement as expression. Simply what it states. So sometimes the body knows what the mind cannot put into words. And sometimes healing doesn't come from figuring it out. It comes from letting it move through you. When emotions are held inside us without any sense of release, whether that be grief, frustration, fear, or even joy, they can get stored in our body as tension, fatigue, numbness, and movement can become a language, a way for the body to speak, to release, and to integrate what it's been holding on to. So instead of thinking your way through the emotion, try moving with it. Put on a piece of music, any music that resonates with how you're feeling or how you want to feel. Let your body respond, not from your head, but from your instinct. Stretch if you feel constricted, sway if you need softness, shake if you feel overwhelmed or frozen, stomp if there's anger or power that needs a place to go. Just understand that there is no right or wrong way to do this. You don't need choreography. You don't need it to make sense. You're not performing. You're simply releasing. You're letting your body finish the story it never got to tell. This kind of expressive movement isn't about exercise. It's about emotional metabolism, letting what's stuck begin to flow again. So from a nervous system perspective, this movement helps discharge built-up survival energy, especially from fight, flight, or freeze states. It tells your body you're safe now. You don't have to hold it all in anymore. When the body begins to feel safe enough to move freely, it begins to reconnect with agency, aliveness, and truth. And in that reconnection, you no longer have to perform worthiness. You start to embody it. These somatic tools aren't just strategies. They're sacred invitations back into your breath, back into your feeling, back into your becoming. Because when you remember that your body is a safe place to be, something begins to shift within you. You soften, you return, and you reclaim. And that is the beginning of becoming who you truly are. So beneath every role we've learned to play, whether that be the helper, the achiever, the caretaker, the perfectionist, is a deeper part of us that simply wanted to be safe, to be seen, and to be loved. These roles weren't chosen at random. They were responses, crafted by younger parts of us, doing their best to stay connected in a world that didn't always feel emotionally secure for us. This practice invites you to meet those parts, not with judgment, but with understanding. Not with the urgency to change them, but with the curiosity to hear them. So let's provide a bit of space in order to connect with those performing parts. Take a few moments and begin to ask yourself, what does a performing part of me believe it needs to do in order to be loved, accepted, or safe? Whose approval or care did I once have to work for? What did I fear might happen if I stopped performing? And then more tenderly ask yourself, if that part didn't have to work so hard, what would I be free to feel? And what truths, needs, or emotions have I been holding back in order to stay in that role? Now take a moment to write a short letter from your authentic self to your performing self, the part of you that's been carrying all the pressure. Let this letter be rooted in compassion, not criticism. Honor the role that part played in your survival, but remind it that you're now in a place where support, rest, and real belonging are possible for you. Perhaps you might begin the letter something like, I know you've worked so hard to keep me safe. I see now how much you've carried, how many times you've stepped forward when I was afraid to be seen or feel too much. You protected me in ways I couldn't even understand at that time. But I want you to know, we don't have to do it that way anymore. We are allowed to rest. We are allowed to be real and authentic. I am here with you now, and I promise to lead with love, not fear. This kind of reflection is a powerful moment of internal repair. It bridges the gap between who you had to be and who you truly are. It helps shift that inner narrative from self-protection to self-trust. Let this be a sacred pause, a moment to honor the doing part of you and to gently return to the being part. You are not your role. You are the one underneath it, waiting to be met. When we begin to reconnect with our bodies, when we slow down enough to listen, to breathe, and to feel, we start to access something deeper than performance, deeper than roles, deeper than even the stories that we've carried. We begin to touch the truth of who we are beneath it all. And what we find there isn't something we have to earn. It's something we have to remember. Self-worth was never meant to be transactional. It's not something you prove by being productive, perfect, or pleasing. It's not something you achieve once you've healed everything or have it all figured out. It's something that has always lived within you. It just may have been covered over by years of survival, conditioning, and striving. You were born worthy before the world handed you scripts, before you learned to shrink, to silence, or shapeshift to feel accepted, before the shoulds and the shame and the roles that you never asked for. The work now is not to become more worthy. It's to come home to the worth that has been yours all along. And each time you pause to regulate, each time you meet yourself with kindness instead of criticism, each time you say no to who you're not in order to say yes to who you are, that is an act of remembering. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this. You do not have to become someone else to be enough. You do not have to earn your way into love, rest, or belonging. Your worth isn't out there in the proving. It's in here in the remembering. So as we close today's episode, I want to gently remind you, you were never meant to earn your worth by carrying everything alone. You were never meant to perform your way into belonging. The roles that you played, the strong one, the peacemaker, the overachiever, were never flaws. They were wise responses. They were love wrapped in armor. But now it's safe to soften. It's safe to listen beneath the performance. It's safe to remember who you are. You don't have to try to be worthy. You already are. So take a breath with me now. Feel the ground beneath you. Perhaps place a hand over your heart and whisper to yourself, even if it's just in your mind, I belong to myself. I am enough, just as I am. Let that be the truth you carry forward this week. So next week, we're continuing this journey with a new episode titled Breaking the People-Pleasing Pattern, Reclaiming Our Boundaries, Safety, and Self-Trust. In this episode, we'll explore why people-pleasing isn't just a personality trait. It's often a nervous system response rooted in early conditioning. The emotional, mental, and physical toll of chronic boundary blurring, and what it means to set boundaries from a place of self-connection, not self-protection. Whether you felt the pressure to keep the peace, make everyone happy, or avoid letting others down, this episode is for you. You don't need to be everything for everyone. You are allowed to take up space, to pause, to say no without explanation. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to authenticity, to safety, and to real connection. Let's explore how to reconnect with your inner yes and no, and begin rewriting the belief that love must be earned through overgiving. Until then, my friends, keep coming home to yourself, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. With care, Julie.